Good morning, Wairarapa. Rob Maunsell here, hosting Move, Mingle and Play, MMP, which is short for Move, Mingle and Play. That's the name of our show. We are bringing you information about events in the mighty Wairarapa from the north to the south, extending over the next week and a little bit into the future. And today I have a very special guest with me, David Headley from Headley's Bookshop, a man who has facilitated the immaculate presence of books in our community all of his life and going back at least 2 generations in his family. So we're very grateful for David's contribution to the community. And today he's here to talk about a photography exhibition that he's putting on at Aratoi on Saturday next week, which is showing the work of Michael Cooper, who was a renowned photographer in the 60s and early 70s, worked for Vogue magazine, and took photographs of a lot of the music scene that flourished in the 60s and early 70s. So we're going to have David talk to us about that. Welcome to the show, David.
Well, yes, thanks very much, Rob. Thanks for inviting me along. Great to be here. Good.
We're going to just give a little bit of information to start with. So you're on camera now. Hello.
Hi.
I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown of some of the things that are going to happen, and then we're going to head into the very interesting part of the show. Well, it's spring and the perfect time to enjoy Wairarapa's wide open spaces, sunshine and fresh air. Come over on the weekend or bring the kids in the school holidays. There's plenty on. And the first thing I'd like to mention, which is a kind of a little event, but of major significance, and that is the ukulele classes in Featherston, which are on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, 1 till 3, at the Featherston Community Centre. Jan Hosking is the contact for the Silver Ukulele Club. Her phone number's 06 308 8556. So the plan is to come along and give it a go. Bring your own ukulele or contact us to see if you can borrow a spare. So that's something to look forward to. And the ukulele is the way into a whole world of participation in music. So you can actually learn 3 or 4 chords in a matter of a week, and then you can be contributing to blues, rock, country, whatever takes your fancy, even a little bit of folk music. So this weekend coming is the 6th and 7th of September is Father's Day weekend, for those of you who hadn't realised, and fathers are pretty special to all of us. So there are several events in the Wairarapa to do with Father's Day. I'm just going to mention the Doubtful Sounds Choir, which is coming on Saturday to Stonehenge. That's 7 o'clock on Saturday at Stonehenge. The Doubtful Sounds Choir, led by the one and only Brian Crump, specialising in pop songs with a classical twist. They will perform 3 gigs over the first weekend of September in Martinborough and at Aratoi on the Sunday. Wellington's funkiest little choir, the Doubtful Sounds, is blowing into Wairarapa early September for a series of gigs to help beat the COVID blues. So the group sings funky new versions of pop and other familiar songs. So that's Saturday, the 5th of September. Actually, it's not the 5th, is it? It's the 6th of September at 7 o'clock, and Sunday, the 7th of September, 2 o'clock at Aratoi. Now, just to mention that the Father's Day drag races, which many of you were looking forward to, it's on Sunday, the ultimate streetcar showdown at the Masterton Motorplex International Drag Strip. It's been cancelled, unfortunately. So that's rather sad. So a little bit of information for you to get your teeth into. And while I'm just having a quick chat to David, I'll play you one of our favourite songs, and it features the one and only Beatles.
Emotions shape you and make you unique. Just
Hello,
like
we're
your
back
face.
again. That was the start of our
Discover
the musical
new
content for our
Q10
show,
power for mature
Sgt.
skin
Pepper's Lonely
with
Hearts
organic
Club
argan
Band.
oil to deeply nourish.
So we'd like to have a little bit more of a descriptive discussion now about the show that David's putting together at Aratoy on Saturday next week. It's celebrating the photographic work of Michael Cooper, who was a 60s photographer and renowned for actually taking the photographs that appeared on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. David, could you tell us a little bit about your experience with Michael and his work?
Yes, well, Michael Cooper is most famous for the Sgt. Pepper cover album and also their Satanic Majesty's request for the Rolling Stones, which was kind of a response to the Beatles album that was put out the following year. He's most famous for that, but he was very much more than that. He was a Vogue fashion photographer, which you mentioned, but he was their age, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones' age, and he was their friend. In fact, he lived with Keith Richards, which we might come back to later, which you could argue was part of his own tragic downfall, and it led to a high life, really, because he came from a fairly humble background. He was a talented photographer, quite a cool dude. He was very fashion conscious, was very close to a man called Robert Fraser, who was the avant-garde art dealer of the time, who linked the aristocracy and the music and the art and the fashion worlds. He was a close friend of John Paul Getty. He went to Eton, but he was also friendly and became friendly with the Stones and the Beatles and people like David Hockney, later Andy Warhol, a lot of the film people, Dennis Hopper and people like that. So Michael had access through his friendship with Robert Fraser and all these people, taking photos at parties, in their homes, at concerts, in studios. He had a unique introduction, if you like, or he was very much part of the 60s.
And were his photographs published at the time?
No, very few, really. He took extraordinary amount of photographs. Over 70,000 negatives fell into our hands, and I was a co-publisher on the book, which was produced in the 1980s, called Blinds and Shutters. There were 70,000 negatives. He only developed even a few hundred. They were just as negatives. So he was living the scene rather than doing commissioned work, although he did do, as I say, those key album covers which were commissioned, and he did a little bit of work for Vogue, but even those fashion photos were relatively unknown work. But he did take also some incredible photos of people like Twiggy and Anita Pallenberg and Marianne Faithfull, a lot of the sort of the key sort of fashion people of the times. Extraordinary project. So it's quite exciting to, when the book came out, it's a limited edition book. It's $2,000. So and
really,
it is quite beautiful.
Could you show the cover?
Just show the cover quickly.
Because I think you're on camera right now.
Okay, I can lift it up. So this is it comes in a beautiful box, but this is the binding. See, it's all handmade. And just beautiful with incredible photographs right throughout. This is Tariq Ali, who was an anti-Vietnam demonstration in London. But a lot of them were, so it covered the politics as well of the times.
And looking at that photo of John and Yoko just in the corner, I mean, it's only vaguely in focus, and contrast is kind of all muffled. And
although
they're very effective, aren't they?
But then there's some pretty stunning, that was done, but as part the time, it's Terry Southern, the time of the Doctor Strangelove movie, so it was done as a set. So it was done, with a proper photography in mind.
Just hold that up again. Because now the camera's on you. So that would have been a set-up photograph?
Yes, that was. Yeah. So there were some that were set up, but so this book came out in 1989-90, and at the time we produced an exhibition which was shown initially at Carly Simon's gallery in New York, because of the music connection, and she knew Michael and was part of that scene, of course. And the exhibition toured at that time, but since then it's been archived, and so we've resurrected it, we've brought it out. We're working with Aratoy and Kokomai, the Creative Arts Festival, to have an exhibition which starts Sunday week, and we're having a big gala event on the Saturday night as a fundraiser for Kokomai to launch the project and to present it to the Wairarapa. So it's quite special. New York to Masterton.
Yes, and I hear there's encouraged. People are encouraged to dress up in 60s style,
if they so wish,
and bring along an LP with their favourite track.
Absolutely.
So are you the DJ for the night?
No, I'm not the DJ for that. It's been arranged by Kokomai, but I'll certainly be bringing along an album. I don't know about the dressing up part, but I'll I think my wardrobe's a bit thin from the 60s.
Yeah, or just get those bell bottoms out.
Yeah, well,
the
that's
flares,
right.
That's what you need.
I know, that's right.
And your winkle pickers.
Yes, that would be the way, wouldn't it? But it will be a fun night and a great way of supporting the arts, through the Kokomai. All the funds are going to them, so it's it's $50, which for including food and drink, so it's pretty reasonable.
That's per person.
Yeah. But it's pretty considering what you're getting, and all that money will go to them. So
is it a buffet dinner or finger food?
It's finger food, so it's more but 60s style. So that should be fun to see what they come up with.
Asparagus rolls and sausage rolls are on the menu.
I think it might be a little bit more upmarket than that, but we'll see. No, it'll be a fun night, and it's and I'll do a bit of an intro to the exhibition, which is something like there'll be around about 50 images in the gallery, in the social history gallery, and that exhibition will run for 2 months, with captions from many of the people that have been involved in the book, including people that are photographed. So there's captions from Paul McCartney, Keith Richards, a whole host of musicians and artists and fashion people. So it'll be a documentary style exhibition, so that you can walk around and read all the stories from the 60s.
And will there be some live music at times, or some recorded music?
No, they decided to not have live music, so people can kind of mingle and talk and look at the exhibition, but they've got some form of music going on, sort of requests type thing, DJ and things. So. And
when people come to the exhibition, will there be music like in that?
Just quietly going.
Months?
Yeah, quietly I don't think the oratory will be pumping.
No. no.
But as much as the Beatles and the Rolling Stones can be played quiet, you really have to turn them up a bit, don't you?
Oh, yes, exactly. So he was a very special character, Michael Cooper.
Well, he was. He was clearly very charismatic. Keith Richards says in the book, a very poignant introduction that he writes for the book. One of the lines he says, Michael Cooper was a 50s hipster who slipped through the 60s but couldn't stomach the 70s. And I thought it was quite, I mean, everybody thinks of Keith as just this wild, muso, but some of the text in the book from Keith is very, very poignant and quite powerful. He's a smart guy.
Well, he's written some good songs too.
Well, he has. He's written some wonderful
songs.
And
when the Jagger Richards combination is not just Mick Jagger, is it?
No, very much not. Just
and their songs.
One of the great things about the Michael Cooper story is that Michael was very close to Brian Jones, who's kind of the unknown by modern standards, the unknown Rolling Stone. He was actually the founder of the Rolling Stones, if you really want to think it through when you look at
they were at art school, weren't they? And some connection.
And Brian was very much he formed the band really, and Keith and Mick soon took over as the driving force.
Well, Mick was the economist, wasn't he?
Yes,
and the other guys were the arty fartists.
There's a bit of that. That's right. And it's kind of tragic. Brian sadly, died, but he did contribute to the band early on, and he was clearly quite artistic and interesting, and Michael and him became firm friends before Michael kind of looped in with Keith. And so that early Rolling Stones period is really interesting and shown in the book, and that linked to Anita Pallenberg, who just died only a couple of years ago, who was kind of the Rolling Stones muse. She was like very much an influencer on their style, on their music.
Before Marianne Faithfull. Even.
Yes, that's right. And she was a model, an actress, and she was very important in the Rolling Stones story. So the book and the exhibition kind of explains a little bit more about that. It's kind of interesting to see that early Rolling Stones period.
Because Brian was the guy that was dressed up, wasn't he? Long before Mick came out with the scarves and
that's right,
the high steps and things.
He
Brian
had the big
was
fur
there.
coat
and the hats,
which are in the book. Very interesting, and sadly, it was another, was a casualty of that era. There was so many great musicians lost their way and then lost their lives, didn't they? In that time, that's the downside to the great music.
Because we're just remembering Peter Green all over again.
Absolutely,
there's a huge resurgence of interest in his music, and people saying what a brilliant musician he was.
He was. I mean, they talked about the Magnificent Seven, didn't they? The seven great guitarists. I think Melody Maker in the 1960s talked about the Magnificent Seven, and of course it was Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton and some obvious ones, but Pete Green was in that seven. And he did all the great songs from the early Fleetwood Mac period. Things like Albatross, one of the wonderful that he wrote that and played that. So many other great songs as well.
Well, this is going to be absolutely exciting, isn't it? It's coming to Masterton. We might have to take the week off getting ready for it.
Yeah, no, it'll be very special, and I hope people will support Kokomai as well and come to the event, and then come back and enjoy the exhibition. So it goes for 2 months. It also crosses over with our Yarns and Barns Festival, which is coming again this year, which we're very excited about.
Yeah. Do you want to go on and talk about Yarns and Barns now?
It'd be great to mention it at some stage if we can, because as I say, the Michael Cooper exhibition will be running through Yarns and Barns, which runs from the 8th to the 18th of October. So it's another month on, and that'll be it's the biggest festival Yarns and Barns has ever done. It was first put together in 2003, and the concept is it's a festival of reading. It's all about sort of encouraging the printed book and a love of reading. It's a joint initiative between all the libraries throughout the region, Headley's Bookshop, and also Fraser Books, Ian and Diana Grant. and that we all started it back then, and this is our 10th anniversary festival, and it runs this year. It's a wee bit later than normal. We usually have it in sort of May, June, but because of COVID, we pushed it out a bit, and it runs from the 8th to the 18th of October. We've got something like 18 events, 24 authors, something for everybody. We've got one that you'll love is, I'm sure, is Anthony Burt, who's written a book about about Billy Apple, the artist, and his time in London, exactly at the same time that the Michael Cooper was there. But Billy Apple, who's a New Zealand designer, and became very friendly with David Hockney and the other pop artists of the time. And it's a wonderful book. So he's talking at Aratoi, so he'll be very interesting. But there's huge array. We've got chefs like Monique Fizeau from Wellington. We've been opened by Sir Jim Bolger.
I saw that.
And an Irishman with great stories.
Has he got a book out too?
Yes, he has. His sort of reminiscences of his time in politics, but also his life. He's a King Country farmer, father of 9 children.
Yes,
as I say, he can hold an audience with his stories. He's a real raconteur,
and that'll be just before the election.
Well, it will be.
Won't it?
Yes, we didn't intend that.
No,
and he would have preferred not to be then. We all would have. It's not. Obviously, he'll have some views on politics, but he's done a lot more than just being a national politician. After all, he was, ambassador to the US, and as I say, his King Country farming man. He'll recount all his stories. So that's a great way to sort of launch. We've got something for everybody. We've got farming stories. Tim Saunders. We've got military background with Tom Scott talking about his book on Charlie Upham, and Ian Trafford, who's a Gisborne farmer, talking about he's rewritten his grandfather's war diaries from First World War, which will be interesting. We've got Mark Vetty, the dog whisperer, and Miriam Lancewood, who's spent 7 years in the New Zealand bush living off the land. Her book, Woman in the Wilderness, she's coming.
Where's her base? Which wilderness?
At the moment, her first book was based when she was living in the Fiordland in the South Island, and lived for 7 years with her husband living off the land. Fantastic read. And now she lives. It's been quite a mission to get her to Masterland. She lives in a remote part of the Abel Tasman, and so she's had to take 2 buses, a light plane, a bus, and a train to get to Masterland. for our Yarns and Barns. So, and
there's a book that's just been published.
Written a new book called Wild at Heart, about living in the wilderness of Europe, living off the land and just finding herself and her way. So that should be fun. So it's an incredible program, and we've got a website set up, just
Yarns and Barns.
yarnsandbarns.co.nz, which has got the whole program, and the program will be a printed program will be available at all libraries and Headley's Bookshop.
So that's from the 10th? Starts on the 10th?
From the 8th of October through to the 18th.
Something on every day?
Yeah, every day.
In fact, many things on.
Some during the day, some in the evening. And the prices are very reasonable. Like, some of them are free. Some of them.
Will they sell out? Do people need to get tickets early?
In this case, they will, I think. We're going to have 2 waves of tickets. One on the basis that we are at level 2, like now, and then if we go down to 1 or better, then we will open some more tickets that'll allow some social distancing. So it'll mean we won't have to cancel, if it's in between. So but I would, if people are. And we've got a season pass for $60, which covers everything.
60? Golly, that's a gift.
Covering everything except the Chelsea Winter and Monique Fizeau, but all the other 16 events. And some of the events are the most any one event is $20, and most of them are sort of 8 or 10 or free. And there's a good one at the library about history. Dr. Schofield's historical book that Fraser Books are publishing. That one's free.
Yeah.
We've got the pizza truck from Pippi's Pizza Truck.
Oh,
coming.
yes.
You remember Alex?
Alex is here.
Yeah, Alex is here with her children's cookbook.
Oh, excellent.
So
Yes.
she's always great value, isn't
Yeah.
she? Yeah. So that's free at the library. So
I often call in at Pippi's Cafe in Havelock North.
yes, it's a shame
When
she
I'm up
left
there.
Greytown, isn't it?
She's still got a soft spot for the Wairarapa.
She has, and a lot of friends here, and
Yeah.
I think she would. Yeah, they're looking forward to coming back.
Yeah. So how do you go about selecting the books to put on and the authors? You must have hundreds to choose from.
Yeah, we have. And it has been great this year, where people have, wanted to turn up and support. The authors have.
Mm-hmm.
We're very grateful for a few of some key sort of local creative grants from Creative New Zealand and Trust House and such like to help with the travel.
Yeah.
But the authors are coming, without they want people to buy their books, obviously, but they're coming to support us and the region, and it's been fantastic. So in some ways, it's been their generosity that's helped guide what we, who we choose. But I really like to have something for everybody. So there's such a variety, and we also wanted to make it so it's not people won't come because of price. We wanted to make it very accessible. So all those factors sort of. And I basically spent most of my last 2 or 3 months trying to work out who to invite and arranging it all. So it's been quite a process and a lot of work. But that's it's all about encouraging reading and getting people interested in books and getting to meet authors, which is always I find fascinating to meet the author that's written a book that I've enjoyed.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And then they can mingle with the community, and
that's right.
Everybody gets a first-hand experience.
Exactly.
Don't they?
We've got 3 really interesting authors coming to the bookshop. Charity Norman, who writes thrillers, Stephanie Parkin, who writes wonderful historical novels, and Carl Nixon, who writes fantastic page turners, slightly more literary.
Yeah.
And so they're going to produce the ultimate book club night. So I think where you can actually really get to understand what a book's about and talk to the author, and they can discuss their books in a sort of book club, and we can look in on that and see how they do it and see what they're thinking. I think that'll be very, very popular.
Yes,
so
great. We've got a lot of authors living in the Wairarapa now, haven't we? It's quite a sort of a retreat place for people to come and live with the lifestyle here.
Absolutely.
And
we're very strong in the arts, full stop, aren't we? A lot of, and that's where Kokomai Place is really important in producing a really quality arts festival for the region. So
Kokomai's not actually on this year, is it?
No, it's on. It's in every second year.
Yeah.
And like Yarns and Barns, long term, I think will integrate somewhat with Kokomai and become, the books and literature component of Kokomai. We see that, as a way going forward. I think that's But
you're doing it every year at the moment?
Traditionally we've done it every 2 years as well, but in different years to Kokomai. So this year, so next year we'll probably run again to sort of link with Kokomai. That's the way it's sort of looking. But it is a lot of work, but it's fun. It's fun to be,
Yeah, great. Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful contribution as well, David.
Well, like yourself, if you're passionate about something, you do a fantastic job with the music scene and within the blues, within the region. It just you have to follow your passion, don't you?
Well, you do, and it has its own momentum too. One thing leads to another.
Yeah, it does, exactly.
And the human connections are what keeps it all going.
Absolutely.
Both the musicians and the people who are prepared to host us, the people who run the hotels and the restaurants, the cafes, the bars, who are prepared to give it a go and have a live show turn up.
That's right.
Sometimes a bit unknown.
Yeah, like musicians need an audience, authors need an audience, and if you can interact with your audience. Traditionally authors have been solitary types, tucked away writing, but these days they need to be in touch with their audience. They need to be out there and enjoying the feedback.
David, I'm just going to put on a B.B. King track if I can.
Oh, wow. Yeah, why not?
Told me what the natural facts. Oh, but my baby told me what the natural facts. She said I likes my big daddy, but I'm crazy about his Pontiac. We gon' drive out on the highway, turn the bright lights off. Oh, we driving on the highway and cut the bright lights off. We gon' turn the radio on and get music from up the north. Yeah. Oh, I found out what my baby likes. Likes. That's a whole lot of loving, and that's pretty Pontiac. Oh, we gonna cruise down Highway 49. I want you lying back in my arms. She said, Dad, everything is fine. Yeah.
That wasn't B.B. King, folks. That was dear old Sonny Boy Williamson, most amazing harmonica player. I think it was a fitting alternative to B.B. King. We could try and get B.B. King on a bit later on. I'm just going to tell you a little bit now about what's coming up in the next week in the Wairarapa. Just to run over things, Move, Mingle and Play is really about letting you know what you can do if you want to move, where to go if you want to mingle, and if you can bring the playful spirit to your activities, there are people to play with. So that starts tomorrow. We've got the Masterton Social Badminton Club at Wairarapa College Gym. They meet from 7 to 9 o'clock. It always interests me that badminton players are happy to get together on a Friday night. It's kind of a tradition. They finish the week at work and head off to the badminton club. So I'm not quite sure what goes on there and whether badminton is the main focus. But anyway, there are some very keen badminton players in the Wairarapa, and you're getting together on Friday at the Wairarapa College Gym. Also on Friday, there is the Free Community Fit Club, which is at 6 o'clock in the morning and then again at 11 at the Carrington Park in Carterton. All ages, all fitness levels. A free community fit club. And you get there before breakfast, 6 o'clock. Kids song and story. Fun songs, finger plays and stories for under fives. That's from 9:30 to 10:30 at the Epiphany Church Hall, High Street, South Masterton. That's also on tomorrow. There's a dance fit class at Carrington Park in Carterton, Looks like Carrington Park's where all the action happens. That's Friday evening, 6 to 7 o'clock. Dance Fit. And there are quite a few dance activities going on in the Wairarapa. I thought I might just go straight on to the other dance events. The Carterton Scottish Dance Club, that meets on Monday at 7:30 at the Carterton School Hall. That's Carterton Scottish Dance Club. Then there is the Dance Shed, which is on Monday also. The Dance Shed at 450 Belvedere Road in Carterton. It's a line dancing class, David.
Yeah, I'll be there.
You'd like that? Yes, I have lots of friends who love line dancing. You give them just a sniff of a real country and western song. So this is country with the western.
Very much.
And they're into their lines, and do those legs move? So that's Wendy and Don who are organising the line dancing class. Beginners followed by intermediate. And I wonder if they give you a badge which shows you've got to the intermediate level.
Could well do.
Or a medal even.
A ribbon.
Yes. So I did have something else in the dance line, but I don't seem to be able to find it.
Interesting that there is so much
Perhaps
dance, isn't there?
Something goes together with dancing is marching. So we've got the Whoops-a-Daisies. That's a leisure marching team practice on Tuesday, 4 to 5 o'clock at the YMCA in Masterton. Call Cheryl 063701922. Leisure marching team. And you know what marching's like. I mean, really the girls do the marching, don't they?
Oh, I did a lot of marching when I was at school. It was all part of our
But did you dress up? I suppose you did.
No.
It was more military dancing, though.
Marching, yes.
Yeah.
Every day we had to march.
Well, what do Whoops-a-Daisies do when they start?
I'm sure, but you could find
marching
out by going along, couldn't you?
They have put the word leisure before it.
Okay.
I suppose that's the alternative would be military.
Yes.
You could do military marching or leisure marching.
I imagine that's true. It's probably the technical terms.
Yeah. So there is a lot happening in the Wairarapa.
It's fantastic how much does happen, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And some of it's just small groups who are really passionate about what they do.
Well, I think that's the key thing, isn't it? If you've got a passion, you've got to get out and enjoy it, because that's what life's about. It's important.
Yeah. Wairarapa Word are getting together on Sunday.
Well, they're a fantastic group. They continue to support, reading and books and
original writing too.
And original writing and local.
And people get a chance to read stuff they're in the middle of working on, get some feedback.
It's a fantastic group of people, and that's been going quite a long time now, and very supportive.
So they're welcoming Marilyn Garson, an experienced aid professional, at 3 o'clock in the foyer of the Carterton Event Centre.
That'll be excellent.
On
She's
Sunday.
Very good. She's written an incredible book, and that would be worth going to. I've heard her speak. She's great.
And I think it's free. Koha.
Yes.
They don't have a charge on it.
No, that'll be right.
Yeah. So, moving right along with the art scene, there's watercolour for beginners. There's a class at the Masterton Art Club on Monday, 10 till noon. So that's 2 hours with a tutor.
Fantastic.
We're all impressed by watercolours, aren't we? In a gallery, sometimes we even, watercolours appear on a friend's wall, and you go, wow, look at that.
The Masterton Art Club are wonderful. They do a great job, very, very busy, and you see.
But to be able to learn how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you've got a little bit of an inkling of enthusiasm for it,
absolutely.
Put a paintbrush in your hand.
Give it a try.
Yeah. So it's a little bit random, folks, that what I'm picking out to tell you about, but it's all important stuff. Just going back to a bit more activity, the Red Star Table Tennis Club meets several times a week, and one of them is on next Monday, 6 till 8 o'clock at the Red Star Sports Association in Herbert Street. the Red Star Table Tennis Club. And I think there are other times they get together during the week as well. So if you like table tennis, and it's a very social game.
It's a great
table
game.
tennis.
I love playing it at school too.
Yeah. Did you have a bit of a backspin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I've still got my table from...
You'd be fairly competitive, I think, David. Wouldn't you get a table tennis bat in your hand?
Oh, I'd try. I don't know how good I'd be these days, but I love table tennis. Great game.
Yeah, we'll just do a couple more events. We've got on Tuesday, the Featherston Wahine Singers are getting together in the Featherston Community Centre, 7 till 8:30. Featherston Wahine Singers. That's about the 10th group of singers or choirs that I know about in the Wairarapa.
Yeah, fantastic.
There are at least 10.
Yes.
Obviously, it's for people who want to sing.
Yes.
We've got a choir at King Street Artworks. Meets on
that,
Monday, 5 to 7 o'clock. We've been going for about 9 months now.
Fantastic.
We've had a bit of a quiet period during this next lockdown, because apparently choirs are a place where you're very likely to get a viral infection because people are projecting from their lungs,
of course,
and the droplets are going out a lot further than when you speak. If you sing, it's kind of you're really giving something to the air and the environment,
hence
which might not be particularly
hence the church, is what's happened,
right? Because they were singing.
That's right.
Singing does it.
Yes.
So watch out for singers.
Mean, isn't it? Really,
it's a bit tough, but I don't think we should get paranoid about it.
No.
We're going to get over it, aren't we?
Absolutely.
And then just to let you know about the Rock and Roll Beginners Club, that meets at Club Wairarapa in Masterton. It's an intermediate level group on Wednesday from 8 o'clock. It's called Club Wairarapa Rockers, Rock and Roll Beginners. And the beginners are at 7:30. The intermediates get there at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
David, shall we come back to some of your other than bookshop activities in the publishing realm? You've done a lot of very, very interesting projects.
Well, I've done a number. My main interest really lies with book selling. I love the concept of enjoying other people's work, publishing and writing, and then putting those books in the hands of readers. That's what I really love to do, and that's always been my main focus, and my father's focus before me, and my grandfather's. But throughout it all, we've always had a sort of a sense of wanting to publish a bit as well. And my father did some important kind of regional histories in his time, and I've tended to drift towards the overseas-based publishing, because quite honestly, it's quite difficult to make a living from publishing in this country, because the market is quite small, and the margins. People think, don't realise just how expensive it is in terms of time and effort to put a book together. So I've tended to, publish more overseas-based projects, and I followed my passion a bit, like we were touching on before, that if you follow your passion, you usually be better at it, and enjoy it more, and enjoying what you do from a work point of view is really important. So I've always loved music, and so I kind of got involved in the music publishing scene overseas. I met a Welsh publisher who was working and living in England, and had become involved in the music scene there, on the history of music, particularly was friendly with George Harrison. And through my friendship with this publisher called Brian Roylance and his business, which was called Genesis Publications, I managed to, we built up a bit of rapport, and I started publishing with him, and it's led to some pretty incredible projects, which I've been very fortunate to be part of over the years, including Blinds and Shutters, the Michael Cooper story, which we talked about before, but a number of others I published relating to music, including 50 Years Adrift, which was the story of Derek Taylor, who was the Beatles. He was a real character. He started as Brian Epstein's personal assistant. He came out of a newspaper journalist background, and then became the Beatles' publicist. So he travelled with the Beatles and was very much part of their world. and then later worked for the Birds, the Mamas and the Papas, and made his way through the music industry to be the head of, or vice president of Warner Brothers. So he had this incredible life story, but he was a funny man, and
he was an Englishman.
Yeah. He also he was a very close friend of the Pythons, and he co-wrote the Ruttles, which was a parody on the Beatles. So I co-published that book, and that kind of really launched my sort of publishing career, I suppose, in that area. Yeah. So it's been quite a wonderful roller coaster of meeting interesting people and working with them. And since then, I've sort of tended to not be quite so immersed in the creation of the books, but more working in the last few years with working more in the marketing side. And working with people like Ringo and Mick Fleetwood on the Love That Burns.
And Lou Reed, did you do something with Lou Reed?
And Lou Reed. We did help with the Lou Reed project and looked after Lou Reed in London for the launch of the book, which was quite an experience. He was a very complex man.
Yes.
Hugely talented, but and sadly that was just before he died, so it was one of the last sort of public appearances that he did. So I was fortunate, to have known him through that pretty special moment. And he's another long-term casualty of the excesses of an early life.
So as a publisher, you've had to learn that trade. Did you learn it from your father? Was he involved in a way that you could sort of say, well, I've learnt the principles, this is how you go about this job? Yes. Or did you have to kind of wing it a fair bit?
I think I learnt at his heel somewhat. Everybody does, don't they? You learn good skills, good life skills for that matter, from your parents and from your family and from your people who are around. So to some extent, I certainly learnt from my dad. I learned how to sell for sure from him, and I had this love of books and from him very much. And then later I worked alongside Brian Roylance, who was is, in fact, he had an obituary in the New York Times and the London Times rating him as one of the great publishers of the 20th century. So I worked with him and learnt many skills from him. But I think it's all about experience. The 10,000 hours.
Yes, isn't it?
The more you do of something, if you focus and ambitious, you can improve your skills and
you develop some instincts, don't you? Which can't be really taught.
No, that's right.
I don't
really rate myself as a great publisher, but I do know what I love, and I am quite passionate about what I love, and I put 100% into it. And that makes up for a lot of perhaps not natural skills.
But it shows in the quality of your work too.
Yeah, I believe in quality.
Yeah,
I believe in permanency and quality, because so many things these days are transient and just tend to come and go. And that's why I love about the printed book.
Yes,
the printed book gives you something that you can treasure and hold and put on your shelf and refer to and visually enjoy.
Becomes a friend.
A
reference point.
Yeah, and I think the really exciting thing about printed books today is that there seems to be this huge resurgence of interest in the printed book again. One stage, a few years back, with the digital world just changing things so much that it seemed like there may not be a place for the book going forward. But that's changed completely around.
Really, that's fantastic news. That's
great. The stats are backing it up. Like internationally, the e-book has plateaued in terms. It'll always have a role, but it's sort of plateaued. I think the latest figures were saying it's something like 18% of the world's books are digital, read online. Audio is growing a lot. With especially with the podcast phenomenon, but the printed books are still by far the dominant way of people enjoying reading and books. So that's kind of exciting, and I think that that aesthetic thing, the enjoyment of holding and owning a book, particularly where young people are finding they're spending so much time on screens for their daily life, they don't want to do that for their relaxation and for their reading time. So. we're as a business, which we've been going 113 years.
Yes.
And our primary offering is a printed book. It would have been tragic if it hadn't worked out, but it's definitely changed around.
I think Neil Young would agree with you on that.
Yes.
And I think we might just illustrate this last little conversation with a song by Neil Young. So let's have...
Fabulous musician.
Old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you were. Old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you were. Old man, look at my life. 24 and there's so much more. Live alone in a paradise that makes me think of two. Love lost, such a cost. Give me things that don't get lost, like a coin that won't get tossed, rolling home to you. Lullabies, look in your eyes, run around the same old town. Doesn't mean that much to me, to mean that much to you. I've been first and last, look at how the time goes past. But I'm all alone at last, rolling home to you.
We're back, everybody. Neil Young, Old Man, from an album called Harvest that came out in the late 60s, early 70s. Don't know exactly when. David, it's been wonderful having you in the studio, having you on MMP, and telling us about these two very exciting things that are coming up. First of all, the Michael Cooper exhibition, starting with the party on Saturday next week, the Kokomai fundraiser, $50. Finger food, I suppose there'll be the odd drink or two.
Yes, all drinks, plenty of drinks.
And there might be some drinks you have to buy after you've had one or two?
No, I think it's all inclusive.
Okay, so drinks and food, and this exhibition of 20 or 30 photographs?
Yeah, more than that.
More?
Yep. We haven't quite finalised, between 40 and 50 images.
And will there be a brochure? Will you have a little handout?
Well, no, we've got all the captions are on the wall, so you can read the stories of the photos by all the people that are in the photos. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. So people could come back and take photographs?
Yes,
later, but probably not on Saturday night.
Well, it'll be a bit busy. Yeah.
But you're not too precious about the images being stolen.
I mean, No, well, I mean, not these days. You can't really, can you? It's,
No.
no, but they're behind glass, so that they're pretty amazing. Actually, they're pretty amazing.
No, we're looking forward to that, and it's here for 2 months afterwards.
Yes, it is,
so it'll be in place for anybody who can't make it next weekend.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and
Opens for the public on the Sunday.
Yeah, good. And then, of course, there's Yarns and Barns, which you've given us a lot of insight into.
Yeah, that'll be
And
fabulous.
then your wonderful history of publishing and meeting all these very creative, inspirational and influential people within our culture.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have had an interesting life. That's the great thing about books and music. You get, these are creative, interesting people, and you can absorb all their ideas.
And you have something to do together.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah. You
Other
do.
than
Things
just
in
chatting
common.
about what's happening.
Yeah, you have things in common. It's been great fun.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate.
David, again, thank you very much for being
Thanks,
on
Rob.
Move, Mingle and Play.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much.
Yeah,
we'll have you back.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Reporting in a few months.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Okay, and everybody have a lovely week ahead. Look forward to Father's weekend, Father's Day on Sunday, of course, and we'll see you in a week. Bye for now.